Hollywood Bets Kenilworth now, race number 2. We move on to that, everybody, and let's take a look at the second race. So I can tell you that this horse, Aussiecur, is top of the boards at the moment at 3-1. Remember, we are doing this on Friday, so don't forget about that. And number 2, Black Egret, is at 7, well, trading around 7-2. I see they have shortened this horse, number 7, Green Falcon, into 33-10, so you can make a note of that. I want to welcome Gabriel Soma. Very good to have you on our show again. Happy New Year. And a lovely start with Trump My Queen. What a great day yesterday.
Thank you, Clyde. It's always a pleasure being on the show to preview such a high-class meeting like the Lormerons King's Plate is special. And thank you. All the best to you and the entire team. Congrats on a fantastic year last year. And long may it continue.
Thank you, Gabriel, and the very same to you, of course. Darren Burrows, of course, is on the line with us as well. So, Darren, let's talk about this card. I know we got the pick 6 in the course of the week. You ended up catching 23,000 Rand by doubling up. So, well done there, Darren. Let's talk about the second. What do you like?
Clyde, I'm going to give Black Egret another chance. This horse is dropping in trip and the blinkers go on. On his best form, that third behind Sian the Conqueror, we saw multiple winners, as well as that Falskun run. Last time out, he found nothing the final 200. So I'll give him one more chance. For second, Aussiecur, Green Falcon should be thereabouts. And the Adam Marcus runner, Silver Sleet, he does rate quite highly.
Okay, so Black Egret, let's see. I know obviously from the Ash Fortune stable, you've always rated that horse. Gab, so what's your take on the second?
So, Clyde, studying form here, Aussiecur looks a very hard horse to beat. The 3 favourites in the race, being Aussiecur, Black Egret, and Green Falcon, all drop back in distance. But on form, Aussiecur beat Black Egret 2 lengths. They both get the benefits of the blinkers. I don't see there being any reason as to why Black Egret should turn the form on Aussiecur. And 3-1 looks a very generous price, considering he holds the majority of the field on form. I do believe they'll finish Aussiecur from Black Egret, and then Green Falcon should run third.
Capable work riders, in your opinion, that you've somehow familiarised yourself with in the past?
Yes, so William Bambiso is definitely the most experienced, and he definitely rides a horse really nicely. So that is a benefit to Black Egret.
Right.
But the rider of Aussiecur has also won a work riders race, also rides quite nicely. So I'm expecting those two to fight it out. But at 3-1, I would definitely recommend to the punters, have a bet on Aussiecur and start generating money for the rest of the day.
Okay, that sounds very exciting. We can get some money out of that as well. So you guys, you need to be the judge now as to which way you want to go. And this is what we would like to recommend to you in as far as what Darren Burrows is putting in his buy pot. He's gone 2, 4 and 10 by Banker 6, by 4, 6, 8, 9, by Banker 13, Banker 3, and then 3, 6, 8 at the back. And he's spending 36 Rand for every buy pot taken. The Trippy Stakes is the running of the third, and we'll talk here about this horse, Gimme Lightning, who's priced up at 17-10. Looks to win, but I've got to ask Darren and Gabby what they think. Let's go to Darren first.
Clyde, this horse was really impressive on debut. Jumped slow. He must have been about 7 or 8 lengths off going through the 400, and how he got up to win showed that he's got ability. He's obviously looking for a bit further in time to come. So it all depends how far back he is going through the 400. If he's in contention, he could run them down. I know the Fortune runner Ripple Effect is very highly regarded. She was shin sore, so they scratched her just the other day. But I thought that on that debut performance, Gimme Lightning could be enough for the PAs.
Yeah, I see there's a winner that's come out of that form line as well. Let me ask Gabby what you think of the favourite.
So, Clyde, yes, there's been 9 runners out of the form line. 1 horse has come out to win was Speeding Bullet. The other 8 horses have finished unplaced. That's a little bit of a concern, but I went to watch the replay of this horse, and let me tell you this, very few horses would have been able to win a 900-meter race the way this horse did after getting left and a little bit interfered with at the start. On that, I think he'll be very difficult to beat, and I definitely think he's a banker in the PA. He beat Speeding Bullet, as I mentioned, and Speeding Bullet beat a number of these horses in the race. So there shouldn't be much between Speeding Bullet, William West, Pompey Warning, and Captain's Arrow. But on what I saw first time out, I don't think Speeding Bullet could ever turn it around with Gimme Lightning.
Okay, so perhaps would you consider having another strike with a horse like this, or is it not the kind of race to do so?
No, it's definitely the kind of race to do so.
Okay,
On
so
form,
we'll
he
follow up.
beat Speeding Bullet. Speeding Bullet beats everything, 17-10, very good price.
Okay.
And the fact that Richard Faris jumped on board just shows you that he is definitely the stable elect.
Gabby says, put your head down, we'll put our heads down. So let's have a look at what we're going to do in the third. It's a place accumulator. I think Darren worked out this PA for us, and here it goes. He's also bankering Gimme Lightning. So both guys are very keen on this. By 4, 6, 8, 9, and 11, so the next race a bit tough. Then there are a few bankers from Darren's side. Banker the 13, Banker the 3, Banker the 3, Banker the King, and then 2, 4, and 9 at the back. Is 15 Rand every time you take it. Back with us, race number 4 on the card is the Franschhoek Motor Museum Winchester Sprint Cup. It's always something very exciting to go and have a look at if you are out at Hollywood Bets Kenilworth, because you will notice what they bring out there in terms of display vehicles. Always wonderful to see. Okay, so pick 6 time. I can tell you the weighted to win team did well on Thursday. Let me tell you why, or show you why. This is what Darren worked out on Thursday. It was an expensive pick 6, but at the end of the day, you're entitled to spend whatever you can afford. And we got that twice. It shows twice on there, and we doubled up and collected 23,000. So that's what we had. Okay, thanks for that. Let's get straight to Darren Burrows and talk about this race. Now, Darren, I want to ask you about this pick 6 where we're jamming's 4-1, and they are betting 4-1 the field, indicating it to be quite an open race. What did you make of it?
Clyde, it is a competitive sprint. You got some nice top-class sprinters here. Now, an up-and-coming sprinter, Trompy, he is unbeaten over the 1,000-meter trip. He is plus 3.5. Grant van Niekerk can only ride 53.5, so he's plus 3.5. But I still give him a big say in this lineup. Resonate, a really top sprinter. He'll enjoy the drop back in trip. He's got an electrifying turn of foot, but a short burst. And then we're jamming and Isi Vungu, I wouldn't write off either. I played a little bit wider than that in the pick 6er.
Yeah, well, I guess I can't blame you. Vaughn Marshall must have a lot of confidence to allow for Grant to ride plus 3.5. But I suppose there aren't too many anymore that can do 50, Gab?
Correct, Clyde. There's not too many jockeys that can do 50 kilos. And I think Grant van Niekerk is basically stable jockey there. And to be honest, Grant is a top-class rider. Yeah. So you actually got to decide, do you mind going a little bit overweight, or in this case, a lot overweight, in order to have Grant on? And I think it's worth it. At the end of the day, even though he's 3.5 kilos up because of the overweight, he's not that badly off with a horse like We're Jamming. So in a sprint, I'm not mad about weights. I don't really follow too big. Okay. So at the end of the day, he's definitely a runner, Clyde. Right. I think We're Jamming's the horse to beat. Definitely a decent sprinter. Gets blinkers on, which could make the difference. The drop back to 1,000 could be short, but the blinkers will help there. Isi Vungu, definitely a decent horse. Could potentially be a lot better than rated, even though he's rated 110. But overall, Clyde, it's a minefield of a race. And my suggestion to everyone is go as wide as your budget allows to stay in the first leg of the carryover pick 6.
Okay, well, there you go. So both guys on the same page, wide open. It's going to be exciting for a lot of people to see Christophe Simonot riding there, and we look forward to seeing him in action. Of course, in this particular race, he is on Isu Vungu. Okay, here's a pick 6 from both Darren and Gabriel. So we'll start with Gabriel's pick 6 first. Gabby, and just having a look at your pick 6, obviously you're bankering King Charles later in the day.
Correct, Charles Dickens.
But
King Charles is fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so there it is. That's we'll give you a bit of time. Don't forget, you can do what you need to do, whatever is the most convenient way in which to scanning that code or dialing it in, or you know exactly what to do to get that pick 6 on. All right, we'll have a look at what Darren is feeling about this race. He's also gone wide, as you can see, and I would imagine, like everybody else in South Africa, on Charles Dickens banker, he's spending 231 Rand for 10% if you want to get some of that, and that's his pick 6. Again, you may scan that code or dial it in or call it over the counter, so to speak. But make sure, whatever you do, you get it on. We're hoping for a 6 million Rand pool. Cartier involved, of course, with Lormeron's King's Plate, and good to have him on board as always. And here's race number 5, first leg of the jackpot. And this particular event, of course, is the Cartier Scepter Stakes. It's a Group 2 event where Princess Keller takes on some very decent sorts in Charbella, Desert Miracle. You've got Santa Maria in there. There are a good number of horses that know how to run and run fast they can. Darren, what do you make of it?
Clyde, Princess Keller, I've had a bet. Last time out, I actually fancied her. I knew it was 1,000 meters after a break, but she's got an electrifying turn of foot, and she turned it on in style to win on the post last time out. She will appreciate the 1,200. I believe this filly is grade 1 class from 12 to 1,600 meters. If the second run after the lengthy rest doesn't catch her out, I think she'll take a power of beating, and she is drawn towards the outside of the track and down the straight at Kenilworth in the summer. The outside draws are favoured. So I'm leaning towards Princess Keller. I've got respect for horses like Charbella. She is better around the bend, but she should be competitive. Desert Miracle, up the straight in her last 2 starts. She moves up strongly to a point and then just a bit one pace to final 200, suggesting she's looking for the bend again.
All right, thank you for that, Darren. Appreciate the summary of this particular race. Let's talk about Desert Miracle for a moment, because I think Darren's correct in terms of the short burst, but there's obviously an issue, and Mike has opted to run her over the shorter distances of late. She could win a race like this, couldn't she?
Not even a question, Clyde.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she is a very, very good filly. And let me tell you, last time just didn't go according to how we saw the race happening. So she got beat 2 lengths. Disappointing to get beat 2 lengths, to be honest. So I'm studying the form of this race, Clyde, and it's a lovely race, and it's quite intriguing because you've got to decide whether you want the 3-year-olds or you want the older horses. Right. So I looked at the older horses and I said, look, Princess Keller is definitely the class horse. There's no doubt about that. The problem is she's clearly a horse that prefers 1,600, maybe even a bit further. She won the 1,000 coming off it fresh, which is great, but she beats a filly called Epico. Now, for me, you can't put Epico and Desert Miracle in the same division. So on that, I like Desert Miracle of the older horses. But it's now whether you want to go the older horses or the 3-year-olds, and I'm leaning towards the 3-year-olds. And the reason for that is because Charbella was able to beat a filly like Quintus Light in September. Right. Now, Quintus Light for me is the line horse in the race, and when you study form, it's important to find a line horse. She beat her in September. You would expect with the extra 3 months that she's improved drastically. Quintus Light has beaten and is on par with the majority of this field. Right. So just on that, I think Charbella is going to be the horse to beat. Golden Hostess at 16 to 1's a nice price, could prove some value, provide some value. And as I said, of the older horses, Desert Miracle is definitely the filly I would lean towards.
Okay, so that's a good summary from Gabriel. Thank you for that. Again, 3-year-olds taking on the 4-year-olds. And for Gabby, it's Charbella. For Darren, it's more Princess Keller. Princess Keller's 2 to 1 on Friday, and Charbella's 5 to 1 on Friday. That's the current market. Let's take a look at what we want to do here from a slide selection perspective. And, well, there's Darren. He's going with Princess Keller. You heard what he said. He's already had a bet. So this is the Premier race. It's the Anton Rupert Wine Premier Trophy Group 2, and it, of course, is run over the 1,800 metres. This event, some very exciting horses in here that can, again, lots and loads of ability. They've all won some very good races and done very well before. The likes of Universal at 3 to 1 favourite. Number 11, Do It Again. Well, you know his history and you know what he's all about. He's at 5 to 1. Number 1, Rascallion, 6 to 1. And number 8, Nexus, is trading 8 to 1. 9s or 10s and better about the others. I want to hear Darren Burrows' summary, then come to Gabriel Soma, and we can work it out thereafter as to what we want to do. Darren, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm in the camp of Universal, Clyde. This horse had knee chips removed, and he was rested for a long time. He came back in November, ran a good sprint up 4 lengths back, and then to run second in the Greenpoint Stakes after second run after a lengthy layoff shows that he's coming on the right way. He's having his peak run, and Adam's very confident of a big run. He's working like a steam train at home. Dangers, I thought Rascallion comes in here, one of the best weighted. Do It Again's not out of it. And then obviously we're hoping for improvement with Pomp and Power.
All right. I'm glad to hear, because you are close to Adam, I'm glad to hear that you have spoken to him, and then Universal as well. Gabs, what's your take on the race?
So, Clyde, my value bet in the race comes up here, and it comes up in the form of number 2, Pomp and Power. I think 10-1 is a massive price. And the reason I say this, Clyde, is we all know on his best form, he is the best horse in the race. He won the Cape Derby, and he won it convincingly, and he beat Universal a length and a half. He went to Durban, he had a few issues. He still ran second in the Daily News. The July was disappointing. They've brought him back to Cape Town. They gave him a sprint. And his last start was a very good run. I personally think Cabello got the fractions a little bit wrong. I think he went hard. And Pomp and Power stayed on really well. I mean, at the 300, I thought he was dead and buried. And he managed to stay on. Richard takes over again. He's drawn 2.
Yep.
So from draw 2, he should be able to get an easy lead. And I think at 10-1, it's serious value because there is a chance that they won't get to this horse. I made the only danger, well, when I said only, I made the main danger Universal. Darren's definitely onto something. A classy horse, always has been. Third run after arrest, he'll be cherry ripe. And off draw 3, he could get a nice run because Pomp and Power will probably lead him. And Rascallion, I made the third horse in the race. And I do believe that these 3 horses will get you through all your bets. So have a small bet on Pomp and Power at 10-1, and the 3 horses in your pick 6 should be enough.
No, you can't do any damage at 10-1. I want to ask you, so would you like to see him lead and like he did before and go and open up and let them catch him, or how would you like to see him ridden?
Yeah, so Clyde, I'll leave that to Richard. End of the day, if they get this horse to settle, he's a different horse. They managed to get him to settle in the Cape Derby. He pulled for the early bit, and then they managed to get him to settle, and you saw what he was able to do. If he's in front and he's settled in front, happy with that. I mean, he went to the front in the Daily News, he was pulling hard, and he only got beat 2 lengths to Safe Passage.
Right.
Safe Passage in this race would be odds-on favourite,
Yes.
even though Universal is a very good horse. So at 10-1, serious value.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. That's why we got these professionals in here, because you don't hear it often, a bit of nibble at 10-1 every day. So let's take a look at what the boys want to do in this race. And that's Gabriel Soma, Pomp and Power, race number 6. That is his each-way recommendation in terms of the Hollywood Bets Kenilworth race meeting. Another option for you to look at is from Darren's side. He wants to have a go with Universal. You heard what he said. He's quite bullish on it. And again, ladies and gents, the choice is yours. You're back with us. Welcome. Let's take a look at race number 7, the Cartier Paddock Stakes. I don't want to sound like a stuck record and tell you that there's lots of talent and ability in every single race, but that's the absolute truth. Look at this lineup where Captain's Ransom's even money favourite. Marina knows how to run 5-1 second choice with Sparkling Water and Make It Snappy. There'll be changes along the way. And even a horse like Rain in Holland knows how to run too, make no mistake. So Captain's Ransom, we know she's loaded with ability. She's proven herself, Darren, time and time again. Are you expecting her to win again?
Clyde, I've chosen to cover her. I'm looking to beat her in exotics. She's the best sprint miling filly in the country. She's tried the 1800. She won this race last year by a head. She just managed to hold them off. You could say that she's meeting a similar type of field, but 1800 meters is stretching her. So for that reason, Marina, she's back to best, and she's very capable on a day. If there's a decent speed on, she will be running on really strongly. Make It Snappy, done absolutely nothing wrong. She was thrown in the deep end in her third start. She beat Marina 3 lengths and won the Fillies Guineas just about start to finish. She's very capable. So Captain's Ransom may be the horse to beat, but I don't think it's going to be as easy.
Okay. So there you've you're obviously worried about the 18. Are you worried about the distance?
No, I'm not worried about the distance, Clyde. Last year, she won the race. She came from a long way back, and she managed to beat Chansonnet that day, and it was phenomenal how she won the race. And she's a world-class filly, Clyde. She's won 13 out of 16. That doesn't happen often. But in saying that, I do see what Darren is saying, and I'm also going to cover her, but I still do make her potentially the horse to beat.
Right.
Marina has to be included because she's having her third run after arrest. She's had a good prep into the race, and there was just over a quarter of a length in it in last year's renewal. So Marina definitely wants cover, but Make It Snappy for me is the most interesting horse of all. Very rarely will you see a filly able to do what this filly's done in 4 starts. So she could potentially be something we haven't seen for a while. In her 3rd start, she was able to beat a filly like Marina convincingly, and Chantonnay was also in the race. She received 10.5 kilos that day. This time she receives 6 kilos, so she's 4.5 kilos worse off with Marina for the 3-length beating. Is that enough? I don't know, because this filly is now improving. She then went on and won the Fillies Guineas, a grade 1 in her 4th start, and she was never in doubt. So Clyde, she's going to probably go to the front off draw 8. She could get a potentially easy lead, and she could be difficult to peg back. I do enjoy backing 3-year-olds in these type of races. It tells you where they are. This is her real test, because you don't get to take on fillies like Captain's Ransom that often.
Yeah.
But let's see where she stands. So I say 3 from 8 and then 6 for 3rd.
Yeah, Make It Snappy appears to be the most progressive. For the Sparkling Water fans, what would you tell them?
Clyde, personally, I just don't see her beating these horses in a weight for age race. She won the July, which was a handicap, as we all know. And look, this will be her real test, but I can't see her beating a filly like Captain's Ransom over 1800 at level weights.
Okay, interesting. Right. Let's put those selections up now, guys. You've heard it from the gentlemen as to which way they want to go. This is now the look at the 7th, and there's a trifecta recommendation in the play. And the recommendation is, of course, 3 Captain's Ransom, 6 Marina, and the 8 Make It Snappy. And here's the big one now. So many of us have been, well, I think we all have, haven't we? When was the last time there was a king? We all remember this as the Lormorans Queen's Plate forever and a day. I don't know if any of you are old enough since the last time the king was around, but the king's back. And this is the Lormorans King's Plate. Interestingly, King Charles Dickens runs here, and he's odds on at 5 to 10 to win this race. Darren, I know you've told me time and time again that you haven't seen anything like this before, barring Horse Chestnut.
To me, Horse Chestnut's still the best there's ever been, but Charles Dickens, different class. I'm not sure where the pace is going to come from in this race. I don't know who really goes out and leads. So I'm not sure if it's going. I just hope that it's a genuine pace, and Charles Dickens can switch off 5 lengths off the speed, angle out for a run like he did last time out, and show what he's worth. Jet Dark, he has been the best miler in the country for the past 2 seasons. He won't lie down without a fight. And then for 3rd, I like Trip of Fortune. I was impressed with his last victory, and I think he's coming on the right way. So 9, 10, 2, and then Comedy Ding for 4th.
Okay, so you've made your selections quite loudly. Let's talk to Gabriel about it. Charles Dickens is this. We've all been fans of Jet Dark. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. We have. He's been very good. He's a top horse. He knows how to. So Charles Dickens comes up against him for the first time. I haven't spoken to you about Charles Dickens. What have you seen, and what's your impressions of him?
No, Clyde, absolutely brilliant racehorse. What makes him special is the turn of foot. Last time they were confident enough to sit him in, where previously he had sat 2nd or 3rd on the fence. So last time was a real test for him, and within 200 meters, Clyde, he had put the race to bed. It was really impressive, and this is what racing is all about. I mean, I'm hearing people talking about the unbeaten Charles Dickens. How often do you see a horse 6 from 6, potentially 7 from 7? All of a sudden, records are looking to be broken. So it's very, very exciting. He comes up against high-class horses. Comedy Ding is a July and a Met winner. Jet Dark, 2 times Queen Plate winner, Champion Stakes winner. It's really a top-class field, and yet this horse is 5 to 10. So I think that alone just tells you what a super horse he actually is.
You get cold shivers when you think about it.
And it's exciting, and that's what we're in the game for.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I personally think he'll win, and win convincingly. I just think he's brilliant, and receiving the 5 kilos, the weight for age allowance, I can't see him getting beat, Clyde.
Yeah. And say you get horses like these every 30 years. Sea Cottage, 30 years later, Horse Chestnut, 30 years later, I can't believe Horse Chestnut, 30 years later, whatever it is, this horse Charles Dickens. So you were telling me you were reading an article about Elder de Meyer and the weight. We know Elder rides 58, 59. and that it appears that he may well be on target.
Yeah, look,
This being recorded Friday, remember?
Correct, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure Aldo would make the weight. He is a professional. He's known that the horse will carry 55 for a long time now. So at the end of the day, I have no doubt that Aldo would make the weight, especially for a horse of this quality. And hats off to him if he does. I mean, it's hard work. It's not easy to lose weight, or especially when you don't have fat on your body. So hopefully it all works out nicely for him. I make the biggest danger the stable companion, Trip to Fortune. That's if they're not going to use him as a pacemaker. Because as Darren mentioned, you don't know where the pace is going to come from. But if they don't use him as a pacemaker, I think he could possibly be the danger at 20-1.
Very interesting. So perhaps Candice Bass-Robinson runs first and second here. Okay, well, let's have a look at what we're going to show you now. We've got, firstly, we'll start with Gabriel Soma's best quartet. And if he says go like this, go with Charles Dickens, and then go 2, 8, 10 for second, Trip of Fortune, Comedy-Tin, and Jet Dark, and for third, and for fourth, and that will cost R6 a time. Darren Burrows has also worked something out, and he wants to take trifectas, where he's going to banker Charles Dickens. He wants to see Jet Dark run second, the 10, and then he's going 2 and 8 for third. Trip of Fortune, whom he likes as well, for the 8. Comedy-Tin, and he says take that, it's R10, take it 5 times. Ninth race on the card. Welcome back, everybody. Good to have you with us on the Weighted to Win show. And I've got Gabriel Soma and Darren Burrows with me, and we'll talk about what this all looks like. We're going to the ninth race now. This is one of the last on the card. And in terms of the final leg of the Pick 6, it's the Glorious Goodwood handicap. And let's take a look at what the market recommends for this particular race. Number 2, Blackberry Malt, 9-2, and then 5-1 and better the others. I kind of like Blackberry Malt personally. Darren, what do you like?
Clyde, just starting with my value in the race, Captive Moon. Now, I am close to the Marcus stable. This horse has a lot of ability. If you saw early on the manner in which he won his maiden, and then right after that, he didn't handle the soft conditions in the winter in Cape Town. And Adam put him away, came back in the summer, had one sprint up over 1200. He finished midfield, and now he steps up to the mile. If not in need of one more run, I think Captive Moon could be the surprise package here. But horses to beat, Blackberry Malt, his last run I thought was disappointing, because I thought he would challenge the leaders that day. He was 2-1, and he faded out to 5 lengths off them. Of the rest, Nevada King and Future Turn can get into it. It does look a tricky race, but I narrowed it down to those runners.
Yeah. Okay. You're Captain Moon fancy in the race, but there are a few. I saw Blackberry Malt beat Professor Snake. And I was very impressed in the manner that he did. I think Darren's right. He's been disappointing. I don't know why.
So, Clyde, I think his only disappointing effort was his last run.
Yeah.
His second last start, he got interfered with and should have just about won the race.
Come up the rail, eh?
Correct.
Yes.
Should have just about won the race.
Right.
But the problem is his last start was a little bit disappointing. And on form, he has to find 3 lengths with the horse Nevada King. And he's 1 kilo worse off. But in saying that, he is drawn 2. He's got Samanga Kumala on, who is world class, and he'll get the run of the race. So he's definitely a horse that needs to be included. Okay. Nevada King, as I just mentioned, on form is the horse to beat. And then a horse like Tazona, number 1, at 8-1, also some decent value there, some good form to his name, and he could definitely win a race of this nature. But go as wide as you can in the Pick 6s, especially if Charles Dickens wins. You don't want to stay in there and then miss the last leg. Yeah. So include as many as you can. Yeah,
that would be an absolute liberty if you do miss it in the last leg. But let's take a look at what the plan is for our gents. So race number 9, and Captive Moon for Darren. It's an each-way value. Captive Moon currently trading at around 6-1 on Friday afternoon from Darren Burrows. Yeah, I'm sure for some of you it's been a long day, but let's get on to the Merchant Song Long Chairman's Cup. It's over 2,500 metres. We are doing this obviously on the Friday, and one of the races where, to be honest, it's the most open on the card. It's a quartet opportunity, I think. But Darren, let me hear what you like in the race. Justin Snaith's dominating the betting at the moment.
Clyde, I like this horse One Way Traffic quite a lot. You know, he's probably one of the better stayers in the country. And I think we're going to see a lot from him this season. He won really well before his break. He's had the 2 comeback runs, 1400, 1800, not disgraced last time out of a distance too short. And he's going to be running on really strongly. If the race pans out for him, he could win. Dangers, Chrome Yellow, Master Redoute, not out of it on that good latest effort, and Navy Strength.
All right, so there are a few, but from your side, one-way traffic. If you were to choose a horse to float, from Darren's side, it would be one-way traffic, and it's a nice quartet to cash. If I had to ask you the same question, what would, if there was a horse that you would float,
Yeah, so
who would it be?
I think the entire field has, if you dissect their form, each of them have claims to have a winning chance in the race. It's
Right.
that open.
Right.
But in saying that, we've got to nail our colours to the master. And at the end of the day, I like 14-1 about Master Redoute. I think he's having his 3rd run after a rest, which means that he will be very close to Cherry Ripe. He's drawn nicely. His last start here to come from a bad draw. And I just think he could potentially get a nice run throughout. And like I said, 14-1. Very, very good value in a race where I can't give confidence about a horse like One-Way Traffic at 5-1.
Yeah, okay. You'll be looking for the value which you've now found in this horse, Reduced Choice. And if, as we mentioned, if we had to look for 2 floaters, well, Darren we know likes the 15, and we've just heard Gabby now. He says look out for Reduced Choice, who's currently trading at around 12, 14-1 or thereabouts, and use the 2 of them as a double floater perhaps if you want to. Now, from an official selection perspective, which Darren's already worked out, he would like for us to show you that he's keen on one-way traffic and it's an each-way strike for him. We want to thank everybody for watching Weighted to Win. Really appreciate the support. To Gabriel Samo, appreciate your time as always, coming into our show and making a difference. We get lots of positive comments when you are on our show. So we'd love to have you in here in 2023 as often as you can. I know you're busy, but as often as you can.
Thank you, Clyde. Looking forward to a phenomenal day tomorrow, and let's hope the punters make an absolute whack.
The good thing about Gabriel Samo, he never says no to me. And Darren, thank you again. I hope it's going to be a great one for you as well, Darren.
Thank you, Clyde.
All the best, everybody. Thank you for watching Weighted to Win. Cameron Leisha, he's on his way to Dubai. We wish him, because he's our director here, we wish him everything of the best and all of those that make a difference to the Weighted to Win show. Thank you.